Greetings, Coincall fam. Today is November 25th, 2024, and I'm going to do a crypto market update. It's been a little over 2 weeks now since the last update, and a lot has happened in the month of November. Now that we're done with the elections, it seems that Bitcoin has really taken off and has nearly hit 100K. So if you did buy those 100K calls that I mentioned a few weeks ago, forgot what stream it was on my Twitter, you should have done very well. Unfortunately for me, I took profit a little too early, so I only had a small remainder of my position on. Um, and now I'm more or less out of that position, and I'm looking for the next trade. But before we talk about options, let's just go over the Bitcoin chart itself. I've been waiting for sort of a pullback or a correction, and it looks like we're getting it today, which is why I'm making this video. There's a lot of untested longs that were built up since really November 12th, November 11th. This upward sloping imaginary line on a chart right here is really mainly where I'm looking at, and that's anywhere between 93.5K and 85K. So I am looking for a correction between these levels somewhere, um, and I have a couple scenarios. So the first shallow pullback scenario is actually we're coming up on it, is really this 93K level, and perhaps we sweep below it. Could be even something like this. Um, the second kind of more deeper pullback scenario would be 10% down, 11% down to around 88K. So maybe sweeping that 90K level. These are the two scenarios that I'm looking at in order to either sell some puts or get long calls again for December, the month end December. On my other screen, you cannot see it, but I'll go over some options data. DVOL tagged 61 handle, the all-time high, or sorry, the recent high was 66. So a little unamusing in terms of how the volatility of this move really materialized. It's quite low in my opinion, and not that much euphoria. So that is a good thing. It's a healthy sign that we are in a pretty good uptrend. I'm not seeing exactly what could stop this at this very moment. Obviously, there's going to be small corrections, but I'm talking about, macro, global top and sell out all your Bitcoin. I don't see that quite just yet. I think we're quite early on in this run, and we're actually looking towards an entry point quite soon. It might be this week at one of these potential scenarios at a sweep of 93.5K, or if it's deeper, 90K, and maybe it sweeps to 88. Obviously, these are predictions and forecasts. It could be neither of these scenarios, but it's good to have something in your mind so that when price action happens, you're not freaking out and you have a plan. So in terms of options right now, again, I think shorting calls was very scary, but if you did it, you're probably in profits right now. Um, I did not have the guts to short any calls, unfortunately. Um, I was going to do Ethereum. I had some interest, but it looked like there was some swapping of Bitcoin to Ethereum over the last couple of days, which made me hesitate. And usually when I hesitate, I don't pull the trigger. So right now I'm waiting for this correction to materialize. Hopefully it at least does this scenario, because if it if it bottoms here, I would be kind of sad because it's neither of my scenarios, but it's of course possible, and maybe I'll have to chase. Um, But we've had a remarkable run up so far since the election, so perhaps a multi-day cooldown. Maybe it's, we've rarely had multi-day cooldowns. This is the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, Saturday, Sunday again. So it would be nice to see this cool down a little bit, maybe wipe away some leverage, let other new players that are unallocated come back, or not come back, but rather join. But I don't think it should be too deep. So, 20% would be very surprising. Really anything more than 11% would be a little bit surprising to me. But yeah, that's my next move. I'm waiting for this correction to materialize. It seems like it's happening right now. In terms of other options data, I'm looking at the 25 delta skew. The weekly is positioned bullishly. So is the monthly. 3 months you got a slight upward slant, and 6 months slight upward slant. So mainly the weeklies. People are playing the weekly and the monthly, so kind of more near dated. You can get a little more signal from 25 delta skew. Um, Not too much for the Bitcoin at the money implied volatility, nothing too crazy here to report out. Um, the other thing I wanted to point out is the alt season. So I mentioned in the last stream that people are really trying to catch the lows on alts. So I understand that is everyone's hopes and dreams. It is mine as well, because that's where a lot of the money could be made this cycle. So it's been hard to call top on BTC Dom because Bitcoin has been sucking the liquidity out of altcoins on its monster rise up in the last 3 weeks. But I have a couple scenarios here that may be entertained quite shortly or materialize quite shortly. There's a chance that Bitcoin dominance makes another run up into the end of the year after this correction is done. So you have a very bullish Bitcoin for the month of December, while altcoins lag, and maybe you have the random altcoin that does 30%, but then that altcoin is going to go down 25%. So it's not a very meaningful move when you go up 30% and then go back down 25%, right? So this is one scenario, and then we end up topping towards the end of the year, call it around Christmas time, and Bitcoin does a correction, BTC Dom is on the way down, and that's when you get your alt season. So really towards the end of the year. The other scenario, which I think a lot of people on crypto Twitter are starting to talk about right now, is that they see Bitcoin dominance coming down right now, and they're trying to front run this to try to get the altcoins cheap at the very, very peak of lows, which is totally understandable because it does look like this could very well be a top. It's it's hard to call it because Bitcoin has been rising for basically 2 years, since 2022, really, Bitcoin Dom. But we are getting there. I think we're very close, which is why some people are starting to notice this, which is why I wanted to bring it up on the last stream. Because if you catch this altcoin rotation, a lot of these altcoins are already doing 100% off the lows, even 200% off the lows. Um, and that's where a lot of people make their money. But honestly speaking, this is not really showing me that it's alt season when, things are running up 200% and then they go back down 50%. Um, so if anything, it's a very weak or maybe the early signs of an alt season, maybe early rotation is happening. It's not easy. It's not particularly easy to play unless you're pre-positioned into the narrative of the week, which I think over the weekend it was the gaming coins that did a very good job. So you had Mavia, you had Tia, Saga do very well, um, and then JTO, ENA, some DeFi, and then Near being like the potential AI coin play. And then memes kind of took a back seat. So keep an eye out for this. I mean, right now I think yes, it makes sense to try to long alts. Could be with options, could be with perps, but do not be surprised if Bitcoin bottoms out. Um, I have these two scenarios. It can even be here. Um, Hopefully it's not here because I'm not ready for it right now as I'm doing the stream. But keep an eye out for this rotation. It does not hurt to, try to long the alts, and then maybe stop out if you see that Bitcoin is taking over again, and then the alts are going down when Bitcoin's going up. That's a totally natural market phenomenon because as Bitcoin climbs into price discovery, it needs to suck all this liquidity out of the smaller altcoins, to make its push upwards. So, you know, again, like I understand the excitement because the alt season is it could be early season right now, kind of like the pregame to the real party, or it could really be starting right now. I'm more betting on the fact that it starts a little later, and that the alt runs that you're seeing right now are just purely the weekly the flavor of the week type moves that eventually retrace. So if you are going to long altcoins, I think I get it. It makes sense because it looks like BTC Dom wants to top out here, and you'll really be getting really, really good entries. But do not be surprised if Bitcoin bottoms out and we see this white path materialize into the end of the year. That's something that's mainly the risk right now for long altcoins while Bitcoin is in price discovery and potentially sucking all the liquidity out of the smaller coins. But if you are right, the RR does make sense. A lot of them have come back down from the initial election uncertainty. Well, uncertainty became more certain. So you got a bit of a altcoin craze for 2 weeks, and a lot of them have now cooled down into potential entry points. Just do not be surprised if Bitcoin does end up, taking over the reins again. I am, keeping my mind open for both scenarios. If Bitcoin, dominance does continue to drop below 58, I think is kind of like my trigger to really, really start paying attention to alts. Um, it may very well be altcoin season starting now. Um, but again, I'm more playing towards this white path because I think Bitcoin has a much stronger December than altcoins. That's not to say that altcoins cannot put in, 30%, 50% moves, but you do have to be very careful about where you take profit because those upwards moves will be completely retraced later on when Bitcoin even moves down like a very, very small amount. So just be careful. Let's go over some alts. This is my spaghetti chart. I like to pull it from around the election time, so November 6th is a good time period. A lot of the top performers you see are memes. So a lot of the people are wondering, with Donald Trump winning, you should be more bullish altcoins. Does that mean, you know, legit projects perhaps catch a bid? Well, let's see what the market's saying. I mean, the top performers are Peanut, Mudeng, Pepe, Bonk, Doge. Those are five meme coins already. And then you have Tia, Mavia. Those are two actual projects that are not meme coins. And then you have Floki and ENA. These are the coins that outperformed Bitcoin since the election. So the majority of these coins are meme coins. And so what I have to say about that is the barbell strategy of holding Bitcoin and then holding meme coins in general is working out and it is outperforming. Um, one part of me thinks that, a lot of, as crypto matures, a lot of people know how the game works. So they're skipping through the mid cap coins and the VC coins entirely, and they're going straight into the meme coins, the highest risk assets, because they know that they're going to pump the hardest. So that's one thesis that for the reason why meme coins are still continuing to dominate against other options in the market like STX, Solana, Ethereum, Sui, JTO, which these coins are all doing well. But if you really want to outperform, picking and choosing the right altcoins at the right time will really do your portfolio a favor. So in my opinion, if you're on Coincall and you're looking at either the perps or options, I think if you're going to be doing options, there's no meme coin options, but you could long perps on Coincall for one of these meme coins when it does come time, and maybe even this week when Bitcoin is done with its correction. And my list is obviously not completely exhaustive, but Peanut, Doge. I think Doge is a great. If you're risk averse, it is the oldest meme coin. There's no rug risk to this. Pepe is another favorite. It's getting listed on Robinhood, um, potentially Coinbase. I'm not sure, but Bonk as well. These are all pretty good meme coins to um, do long side trades on for an upwards thrust. I don't have exact price targets. Meme coins have it's very hard to predict, but again, I think when the time comes, and again, it could be this week when Bitcoin is done with its correction. You might be longing the Pico lows of a lot of these coins for pretty substantial moves upwards. So that's something I keep an eye on. Again, as Bitcoin is in price discovery, it's much harder to forecast these moves. The main thing that I'm looking for is that you got a bunch of untested longs that were built up in this region right here, and it's just been marching upwards. This kind of diagonal line here. We had the first break of this structure, so it's really been up only for 3 weeks. It does make sense to me to see this come down and maybe do a cleansing of sorts to test this upwards trend a little bit. And it's going to be, I can't tell anyone with 100% certainty that we're going to bottom at 93K and then go back straight up to 110. But these are just two of the scenarios that I'm looking to play. All right, I think that covers it. Oh, the last thing I mentioned, so we went through some of the options data, but I am looking to get long some call options on one of these moves. So, if we do come down to 93K, I'll be looking at, 110, 100 for month end December. That's something I'm interested in playing. And same thing if we tag 88 to 90. Whatever correction happens, I am of the opinion that at the end of the year, we end higher than that correction. If you're superstitious, this week is in 2020. If you look back, this is the same week that we had a correction in 2020. Let me see if I can find it. It's around here, I believe. So yeah, Thursday, November 26th. Tomorrow's November 26th. I'm not saying that it's the exact date. I usually like to give a week time frame, a week long time frame. So this is like starting right now this week, right here. Let's start. Technically, we're right here. So, maybe this is the type of move that's happening right now, except 4 years later. Um, markets don't do the exact same thing as history, but for Bitcoin, it's kind of like a meme. So sometimes these things do come into a reality. It's just how it's a funny way how the market works sometimes. But anyways, That's what I'm looking out for this week. A nice pullback. Hopefully, we at least get this white scenario. I'll be happier even if we get the red scenario. But yeah, I'm looking to get long again after taking profit on the calls. So hopefully this was informative. Thank you all for watching, and please tune in to the Coincall Twitter Spaces being hosted tomorrow, November 26th. Catch you all there. Cheers. Until the next one. Bye.